Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Talking Football podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to say we're joined this week by much-loved goalkeeper at Accies, Partick, Thistle and Aberdeen, just recently retired, of course, Tomas Cerny. Thomas, thank you very much for coming on.
No worries. Thank you for inviting me.
Excellent stuff. Thomas, a great career in the game, but of course, you just retired not so long ago. How are you enjoying your retirement?
No, it's been fine. I think it's difficult times for everyone. We've got two small children, so I've been kept busy with homeschooling and looking after a 1-year-old daughter while my wife is working. I still go to Cormac Park and do some rehab on my knee, which is great. Just to stay involved and just see the boys still, at least couple times a week. Makes that transition a little bit easier. But yeah, it's been okay.
Yeah. Looking back at the career then, Thomas, you were born in April 1985 in Czechoslovakia. Is it? I don't know if I can pronounce this correct. Ústí nad Labem, is that correct?
Ústí nad Labem, which at the time when I was born was Czechoslovakia, and of course in 1993 became Czech Republic.
Yeah. And were you always playing football as a youngster? Can you always remember kicking a ball around?
Yeah, well, actually, I played both football and ice hockey competitively until I was 14. And then I had to make the decision, and I went for football then. I think it made sense. I think football was kind of played over 8-9 months a year. Ice hockey was only maybe 4 months, and so I was kind of farther ahead in terms of development in football and had a better chance. So yeah, I decided for football, and yeah, I don't regret that decision.
Yeah, were you always playing in goals, Thomas, or did you play outfield for a time?
Yeah, well, I started in goals when I was 5. I loved goalkeeping from a very young age, but I also played outfield, usually up front, and I enjoyed it as well. Scored quite a few goals, but ultimately I ended up in goals.
Yeah. You said you were playing in goals since you were 5. Did you have was there any goalkeepers that you aspired to be like, that you looked up to? Any role models?
Yeah, for sure. I think early on, growing up, I admired Peter Schmeichel, in kind of 1992 Euros, when they won with Denmark, and then his games for Man United afterwards.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of first influence, I would say, and then slightly later on, it'll be Gianluigi Buffon, who I really admire, and I really admire his longevity and his ability to play at his age at such a high level. I think it's quite incredible.
Yes.
And also Iker Casillas, whose kind of style I kind of liked and tried to emulate. He's kind of similar size to myself, 6'1".
Yeah.
Very good shot stopper, not afraid to come out of his box. So yeah, that's again one of the goalkeepers I would watch and just try to emulate the game.
Yeah, he's world class, isn't he? You joined Sigma Olomouc 2002. How did that move come about, Thomas? Did they go and watch you playing? Did you play for a boys' club or something like
that? Don't have like boys' clubs back home as such, but it's like different towns and cities will have their own clubs, And so when I was 13, I moved from my kind of small town into slightly bigger club who had quite a decent, youth system, and I played in under 17 game there when I was 14 or 15, and one of the Sigma Olomouc's coaches was at the game, and he invited me for a trial. And then I signed for them soon after. I also had a short stint at Slavia Prague then.
Yeah.
But I would have been living 4 hours away from home, and at that time, the setup didn't really feel right, and I'm quite glad I stayed and ended up in Sigma Olomouc.
Yeah.
Who arguably had a better kind of youth academy as well, and very good coaches.
Yeah, I guess when you're joining a club like that, a professional outfit, well-run football club, I guess it brought your game on quite a fair bit when you went there?
No, it was good. I think it was tough at times. I was on my own, living in a city away from my mom and dad, and I studied, and I was going for my hires. Wanted to get to the university, so most of my time was really spent going to school and training and studying.
Yeah.
But it was a very good experience, and experience that I think formed me as a person in many ways, and I'm glad for that. And yeah, definitely, I went from maybe training 3 times a week to training 5 times, 6 times a week, playing matches at higher level, and just having professional coaches and very good kind of setup and facilities for training. Yeah, so it definitely helped me to develop, and was a very important move at that age.
Yeah, of course. When you were at Sigma as well, you would represent the Czech Republic through the youth levels and what have you as well. It must have been a proud moment for you to do that, to represent your country.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. I think I joined Sigma at 15. Had a good start there, playing for under 16s, and within a few months I was called up for the national team under 17s. So I was kind of first experience, managed to go to the European Championships with them under 17s. I think it was Ronaldo and Rooney played against David Silva in that tournament. And then I think the biggest kind of moment for me in terms of national teams came in the European Championships under 19s in 2003. It was a great experience. We won a bronze medal. I think I was still a year younger, so than most of the other boys in the team, and I started the tournament on the bench. But after a draw against France in the opening game, and then we lost to Austria, I was given a chance in the last game of the group against England.
Yeah. And
we needed to win that game by 3 goals to have a chance to progress, and we managed to win 3-0 and went on. And then I played in the semi-final against Italy, who were led by the current Juventus captain, Giorgio Chiellini.
Yeah. Wow.
But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. We lost that game 1-0, but still amazing experience. Bronze medal from the European Championships, and something I just always remember.
Yeah, it's something to tell the grandkids, that's for sure.
For sure, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. You played. Can you remember much about your debut at Sigma? Was it 2005 or something that you made your debut there?
Yeah, of course I remember the debut. I think you always remember your first top flight game. I think I was 18 then. I didn't really expect to play, but our experienced goalkeeper was sick, and I was the second choice then. I remember it was in the middle of the winter. There was quite a lot of ice and snow on the pitch, so it wasn't an easy game for a debut. But I managed to keep a clean sheet, and the game finished 0-0. But unfortunately, I didn't get many opportunities after that.
Yeah, was it frustrating? Like you've been a number 2, of course, mainly at Aberdeen most recently. Is it tough when you're not playing, because as a goalkeeper there's only one guy that can have the gloves, if you like?
No, of course it's tough, and especially at that age, I really wanted to play every game, and that was ultimately what made me to come to Scotland. Just try to go somewhere where I can play every week, and although I was quite lucky at Sigma Olomouc, we had our B team and the league below the top flight, and which was still fully professional league, good standard, and made over 80 appearances there. So very good experience when I was 17, 18, 19 play all these games. I remember once I played against Karel Poborski in that league.
Oh, amazing!
At the end of his career, played for his own club, Czech Republic. But yeah, ultimately, I wanted to play first team football.
Yeah, and so why Scotland then? It seems a bit left field from being in the Czech Republic to go to Scotland. What attracted you over here?
Well, it was just a random really circumstance. My friend Lukáš, he left in Blairgowrie. He worked there as a plumber, and he played for Loch United at the time. And I just finished my uni first degree. As I said, frustrated with lack of opportunity at the club, and I felt I needed to do something different, something radical to kind of change the course of my career. So I emailed my friend and asked him if I could come over and just try to find club in Scotland. I was the only person I knew living in another country, and so that's how it kind of started. So I went to visit him, and ultimately I ended up in Hamilton.
Wow. So do you know much about Hamilton Accies at the time, Thomas, or Scottish football?
Well, about Hamilton, I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't even know what Hamilton was, But of course, I knew enough. Just watching, Scottish national team and Celtic and Rangers, mainly in Europe. So I knew, it could be an interesting league to play in.
Yeah. And I mean, how did the Accies move come about initially? What happened there? Did they see you playing for Lochie United?
No, nothing like that really. I remember I arrived to Scotland on Friday. It was some kind of late July, so quite late in the pre-season, I think, week before the league started. And so I arrived Friday. I think my friend picked me up in Edinburgh at the airport. And on Saturday they had training with Loch United up at Dundee. Yeah. So I went to train with them, and their manager at the time was Ray McKinnon. Yeah. And he gave us a contact for an agent based in Dundee, and we went to see him in a pub, and then he then took me to Hamilton to play a friendly game on Monday. Yeah. And I stayed there. So that was very quick actually. I never thought something like that would happen and that quickly, but it did, and I was very lucky. I remember I made some DVDs on my computer before going to Scotland, and after the training with Lochie, we went to Tannadice and then Spark and just left them at reception. I think they must have gone straight to the bin, obviously. I was pretty desperate then, but obviously it worked out really well. Signed for Hamilton, and had a great first season with them.
Yeah, what a season that was. I remember I covered a lot of their games for the radio, and they really played some excellent stuff. Billy Reid, of course, was the coach there. Excellent motivator and really good tactical thinker. How much did you enjoy playing for Billy Reid?
I know I loved it. I loved Billy because I think he was really brilliant with us young boys, and he wasn't afraid to give us a chance. And he really jump-started my career by giving me the opportunity and by believing in me. And it was such an important moment in my career. So I'm very, very grateful to him for the way he treated me while I was there. And you feel when somebody believes in you, and then it makes it so much easier at that age. I was only 21, 22, and that's still quite young for a goalkeeper. Yeah. And you need that little bit of belief from your manager, and you need to be given that opportunity, and he's certainly done that. And I'm so happy for him, and he has done well since then, and he's obviously assistant manager in Brighton in the English Premiership now, and is doing well.
Yeah, he certainly is. There seemed to be a really good atmosphere at the club at that time when you were there, Thomas. Not just from Billy, but behind the scenes.
No, it was great. Yeah, no, it was it was a great dressing room, to be part of, and the gaff always wanted us to socialize together.
Yeah,
we did. I remember, especially the first season, we did a lot of team building activities, and we played paintball and go-karting. We had regular days and nights out in Glasgow, which were encouraged and partially paid for by the gaffer.
Yeah,
and I think it really helped to develop a strong team spirit, and helped us, achieve what we achieved that season.
Yeah.
The season after that.
Yeah, you played with some cracking players at the club at that point. The obvious two, of course, with the two Jameses, MacArthur and McCarthy. Playing with those guys, did you know that they were destined for bigger and better things at that age?
I think their talent and potential were plain to see straight away. The first training sessions, and they had amazing potential, and ended up enjoying a very successful careers down in England, and winning a FA Cup together with Wigan, and playing at a number of other clubs in the Premiership. So, but they were great lads as well, and real pleasure to play with and to share the dressing room with. So really happy for them.
Yeah. And you played behind, of course, the likes of Big Mark McLaughlin. What a character he is, and a player. And I mean, David Elibert, Chris Swales, and what have you as well. Did they help you in the back line, Thomas, when you were playing there?
Massively, especially Big Marco. I love Big Marco. He helped me so much early on, and he was such a great character and a great defender. He would just clear everything in front of me.
Yeah,
he would put his head in front of a tank if needed be, and he was good to me. Again, something as a young lad you need maybe somebody more experienced playing close to you, and be there when you need him, and Marco certainly did that for me, and great lad.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Alex Neil in midfield as well was there. He would go in and take over from Billy Reid, of course, and then before going down south and enjoying success. What was he like? Because he was very vocal, wasn't he, at the club at the time?
No, 100%. He was. I think Alex was kind of real leader, on the park and off the park, and I think kind of worked well because he was able to guide the young players, around him.
Yeah.
Him and Marco really. They were also, very quick to tell you or shout at you if they're not happy with what you're doing. But again, that's an important part of it as well. But yeah, ultimately, I think it worked well there, and I think they helped Billy to nurture those young talents there.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great season for you that year, going up into the SPL after so long that they were out the division. Such a great season. I guess it was quite a party after you won promotion.
Well, I can't remember. It must have been good. It must have been good. But yeah, in all seriousness, it was a great season. I think we never lost a game at home the whole season. We only conceded 2 goals and at home, and obviously won the league and got Hamilton up to the Premiership after, I don't know, it was 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
And of course, when I was signing, I had no idea what the ambitions of the team were. I had no idea, there was a possibility of, going up and all that. So it all really worked out really well for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you were playing in the top flight of Scottish football, how much did you enjoy that, playing for Accies? Because it was a great achievement to remain in the division. I mean, every year they get wrote off by pundits and what have you to go straight back down, but they always seem to punch above their weight.
No, it was a great experience for me. As I said, I was still quite young for a goalkeeper, and then to play games at, Parkhead, Ibrox, up at Pittodrie, Easter Road, or Tynecastle in front of big crowd was a massive experience and steep learning curve for me, and it really helped me to develop as a goalkeeper and to deal with these situations. And in that respect, it's a very enjoyable league to play in.
Yeah, but you signed permanently, Thomas, in 2009. Did you have any hesitations about that when Accies wanted to bring you over on a permanent basis? Because I was reading that, is it right that the old firm were sort of keen on having a look at you?
Yeah, I think there was some interest, and there were quite a lot of speculations at the time. But there was nothing concrete on the table. And quite early on, I think it was in March or April, I decided to sign a 3-year contract extension with Hamilton. They were willing to pay my kind of sellout clause, which was, I think, €200,000. And, they wanted me to stay there. And I felt they gave me the opportunity. And I just wanted to try my best to repay that, and I'm glad I did that. I could have waited maybe until summer, see if something else comes up, but I think I did the right things to commit for the next few years there.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the season you were up in the SPL, you were voted Accies player of the season as well. I mean, a great accolade for you, Thomas. It showed you just how well you were playing, and how loved you were with Hamilton at that point.
No, it was a good. Yeah, it was a good season. We did quite well. Had a good start to the season. Won our first few games. We had a little, then kind of struggled for a few months, but then had a brilliant January when I think we kept 6 clean sheets in a month, and won 5 games in the league and 1 game in the cup and thing, and that really was a big step towards staying up. I won the Player of the Month in the league as well, which is probably kind of biggest kind of individual achievement for me. And yeah, it's a great kind of month overall, and a good season. Ultimately, we stayed up quite comfortably at the end, and which not many people expected. So I think we were all happy with that season.
Yeah, see, when you talk about clean sheets, is it very much like a striker scoring goals? If you come off with a clean sheet, you get a feeling that you've done your job well that day.
Yes, for sure. I think if you come off with a clean sheet, there's always a level of satisfaction. It's very important, but clean sheets are always really down to the work of the whole team. I don't think goalkeeper himself can keep a clean sheet. It's always, it can help to keep a clean sheet, but it's always down to the work of every single player on the pitch at the end, and how well you defend as a unit. But yeah, it's a good feeling. Finish the game with a 0.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to touch on, see, when you were at Accies, I mean, he wasn't there for long, but it was amazing what he would go on in the Spanish boy, Luis Rubiales, he would go on and be the Spanish president of the FA. It's crazy, really, just passing through Hamilton, then he goes on to govern at the Spanish Football Association. What was he like? I know he wasn't there for long.
Yeah, actually, I had chat about it with Mikey Devlin just yesterday. We just because he didn't realize, Ruby was at Hamilton, and but I played a few games with him. He was a good lad. I was still quite surprised when he first of all got was the boss of the PFA in the whole Spain, and then he went on this journey of becoming the boss of Spanish football, which is quite incredible for a guy who played for Hamilton. Yeah, but it was a good guy, and I got on quite well. I was trying to learn Spanish at the time, so I tried to speak to him as well. So we were quite close, but he was unfortunately at the club quite briefly. He didn't stay for too long. Yeah,
he didn't. Some of the characters at Accies, even behind the scenes, like Danny the Kitman and Avril and all that, the physio. It would be a really lively place at Accies at that point. Really fun.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere of the club was great there. I think it was a lot down to the manager, because ultimately he's chosen the people he surrounded himself with, and I think it was a good place to go to at the time, and quite relaxed and enjoyable.
In saying that though, I mean, when the time came when you left the club, I know that you were unhappy at the way you sort of left in 2012. Do you feel that I guess you would have preferred to have left in better terms?
Yeah, I think, it's no hard feelings now as the long time have passed, and I have still a lot of friends, and whenever I went down to Hamilton with Aberdeen or Thistle, and I always have a good chat with all the people I know from the past. I was a little bit disappointed the way I kind of left the club. I completely understand that they were not maybe willing to pay for my shoulder operation, but at the same time I just thought I could maybe go back to the stadium and just kind of say my goodbyes properly and stuff like that. But as I said, it's absolutely no hard feelings. I always be grateful to the club for the opportunity they give me, and still have friends and people I keep in touch with there.
Yeah, not the only player that said that, but when they left him, we had Jesus Garcia Tena on as well, and he was the same sort of situation where they never paid for his injuries sort of thing. They had to leave, so he was a bit upset about that as well. But that's football, I guess, sometimes, isn't it? It's the harsh reality of football. You left then, and then you go to Bulgaria, Thomas. What was how did all that come about?
Yeah, it was obviously I ended up having a surgery on my shoulder in February, and then I was a free agent, so I just worked really hard to get myself back to full fitness. And there was a few kind of options, but eventually CSK Sofia contacted me to an agent, and I think at the time it felt like a dream move. CSK Sofia, were the biggest club in the country.
Yeah,
they played in Europe. They competed for Bulgarian title every season, and also the money I was offered were significantly more than anything I was ever earning in Scotland. So yeah, it felt as a really good move.
Absolutely. And initially, I mean, you'd done really well over there. I was reading, is it right? You had 32 clean sheets, and was it 57 games or something?
57 games, yeah. It was
crazy.
Quite incredible, yeah. Yeah. It was good. Yeah, I definitely bumped up my clean sheet record there. Yeah. I was, because we were at the kind of top of the table, or close to the top of the table always, and winning a lot of games, and I had a good defensive record.
Yeah. What was Bulgarian football like? Was it? I guess it differed quite a bit from Scottish football.
Yeah, I would say the pace was a bit slower. It was a bit more technical, less physical overall. There was also quite a big gap between the top 6 clubs and the other 10 teams in the league. So it's quite competitive on the top end of the table, and then you play maybe the top 2, 3, 4 teams, and their level wasn't maybe as good as maybe it's not easy to win league the games in Scottish league. I think the teams are competitive. It's also going maybe by the fact there's only 12 teams in it. But in Bulgaria, the gap was a bit bigger. The same for, let's say, the facilities and stadiums. You could play one game in a nice modern stadium, nice dressing rooms, and then you would go play a away game, and the place was horrific. We had a big hole in the floor instead of toilet, and the pitch would be terrible, and stuff like that. So there are all these things you have to kind of deal with as well.
Did you play against Levski Sofia? Did you take on them at all?
Yeah, I played quite a few. They call it Eternal Derby.
Eternal Derby, well.
Old firm equivalent, and the atmosphere was always very good. Quite, I would say, violent at times. But again, we had a decent record against Levski. I was always the biggest biggest game of the season for the fans, and if you won that, they were quite happy. So I remember the first game we won 1-0, and it was a good experience. And I think played 4 or 5, and I think I lost only 1, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, fantastic. And what was it? Could you understand? Was it Bulgarian they spoke in the dressing room? Could you understand what they were saying and stuff like that, or did you learn Bulgarian?
I did, yeah. When the first when I heard about the potential of the moves, I went straight to learn the Bulgarian alphabet, which was very different from our alphabet, and I would say it helps that Bulgarian is a Slavic language, so there are similarities with my native Czech. So I picked up things quite quickly, and within, I would say, a couple months, I could understand pretty much everything in terms of football, and by the time I was leaving, I was fluent. I might have forgotten things now, but yeah, I felt I was fluent there, and I think it always helps when you learn the language quickly. But we had quite a peculiar situation in the dressing room, because I think the first season I was there, in one season, we had 17 different nationalities, and it then ended up kind of, when you had a team talk or doing any kind of tactics or anything, we were split in these groups. So you had kind of Spanish group where all these kind of Spanish, Argentinian, Uruguayan players. Then you had Portuguese group, all Brazilians and Portuguese boys. And then you had those kind of rest of the world group, which are speak English. You have the Bulgarian group, and there was, I'm sure there was another language kicking about. So it was quite funny, because the coach would be saying something, and then we just hear all these, different voices and different languages spoken around you.
That's crazy. Was I don't know if he'd have been there when you were there. Was Killian Sheridan? Would he have been there, or did he just leave when you went there?
I was with him briefly, so he was there for a pre-season and first couple of games, and then eventually he moved on.
Yeah.
And so I think I shared room with Killian in the first training camp in Turkey when I signed. So I spent, I think, a couple months with him. Yeah, knew him from Scotland, from Motherwell and Celtic. So yeah,
he's quite a funny guy. You see him online. He's quite a funny guy.
Yeah.
Half videos and all that.
That's quite crazy. Yeah.
You went to Greece, of course. You had a wee time in Greece. How did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy your time over there, or was it a bit different again?
Yeah, well, Greece was obviously, it was quite amazing to spend 6 months in a beautiful Greek island. So I'm not gonna lie about that. It was difficult in terms of football, as there were big kind of financial problems at the club, and we were not paid, and it obviously affected the performance of the team. But I still had some memorable games, against the teams like Olympiacos, and it was good. I also got to know Gennaro Gattuso, who was the manager of our local rival, Crete. Because his assistant manager, Paulo, he was our next door neighbor, and we shared a garden, and we shared our swimming pool together. Yeah. And Gennaro was coming over to our house, and he was making barbecue for us. So it was quite
brilliant.
And a nice experience.
Yeah. Oh, he's a legend, isn't he? He's a really top guy.
Yeah, no, it's great. I remember he was coming straight from training sometimes, and he would be almost shaken with the intensity he was doing everything. But then he would have a wee glass of red wine, and within half an hour he was a change man, and really nice, and a really kind of lovely company, and very funny, and obviously full of stories from his career as well. So it was great to experience that.
Yeah, certainly would be. He's a top man. You come back to Scotland, of course, joining Hibs initially, and then leaving there and joining Partick Thistle, where you really did well at Partick. Thomas, how much did you enjoy your time there?
No, Partick was great. I think I feel probably the time of the career where I enjoyed my football most. I was at a kind of prime age, I would say. I joined Partick when I was 30. Had good experience playing in different countries. Had hundreds of games and top flight behind me then, but still felt good physically. So I felt I really enjoyed my football there for that time, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the club, pretty much a wee bit like Aki's when you were there, they're really overachieving and doing really well in the top flight. Again, it looked like a club that was really had a good atmosphere and good squad of players there at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was good. I think we had a good chemistry. I think, especially those first 2 years there. A good group of lads, and I think especially the season when we finished top 6. There was a kind of great camaraderie and things worked really well. So yeah, in that respect, it was very good.
Yeah. What was Alan Archibald like as a coach?
No, I really liked him. I think I really liked Alan. He's a very nice guy, good coach. Yeah. I think he was great fit for the club. He knew the club inside out, and did a good job, for the most part. And I think he had a few offers to go down south during the time I was at Partick, but he turned them down. I think he just wanted to stay at Thistle.
Yeah.
But yeah, really liked him. Obviously, I'm glad he brought me to the club and played me in every game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You done really well there, and again, you won the Player of the Year as well when you were there. You seem to be picking up a lot of these awards, Thomas. Just sort of testament to how well you were playing at the club, and you must have been enjoying your football so much there to perform so well at Partick. No,
I did, and obviously winning the Player of the Year in the first year, which was voted for by the fans, it was a great honor and something I really appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Doolan's, of course, a legend there at Partick Thistle. I mean, he scored goals for fun, really highly thought of. How good was he to play alongside?
Yeah, Chris is a good guy, good professional. Yeah. Really nice guy, funny guy. He lives kind of around the corner from my sister-in-law and down in Kilmarnock, so I'm still keeping in touch regularly with him, and are talking about maybe helping him out a little bit next year with his academy and his coaching as well. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, he's always was kind of natural goal scorer. You would have games where he looked like he had not much influence, and then he would pop out and score 2 goals and turn the game around on its head. And so I think his finishing ability was his kind of main strength, and especially that top 6 season, I think we had a good defense, very good defensive record, and then Chris always came up with some important goals when we needed them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask as well. I mean, you're at Thistle, of course, you're doing really well, and playing under Alan Archibald, and playing. You mentioned going to the likes of Rangers and Celtic when I have you in Aberdeen, but playing at Firhill, how much did you enjoy playing in front of the Thistle supporters?
No, it was brilliant. I think I said that many times, that I had a great kind of personal relationship with the fans there. Especially those guys to the John Lambie stand. I was always going there for the second half, and I would get really nice chants and shouts, and when we won the game, and I would always go and kind of jump into the crowd and have a wee celebration with them after the game, and they were very very nice moments.
Yeah, you mentioned there John Lambie. Did you ever come across him when you were at Thistle at all?
I can't remember speaking to him anything, but I know he's been to some of the games, and of course I remember the day we played a home game just shortly after he died, and it was quite amazing atmosphere at Firhill. I believe we played maybe Hamilton. It was an important game, and we managed to win it, but even the build up to the game and everything was all about John Lambie, and it was a memorable day at Firhill.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned there Hamilton, and you went back and you get a good reception. I think one of your first games was against Hamilton, was it? For Thistle, is that right? And you've done really well.
Yeah, no, it was my debut, and I remember it was quite an emotional afternoon for me. I played 155 games for Aki's, and this was the first time I walked into the away dressing room as a player of the opposition team. I remember there were still kind of these posters and photographs of me from the past on the wall, and but the game didn't start very well. I think big Freddy Franz got sent off after 20 minutes. But we managed to keep a clean sheet with a young defense with Jack Hendley and Liam Lindsay played in front of me, and I made a couple of good saves, and the game ended up 0-0. So it was a good debut.
Yeah, funny you mentioned Freddie Franz. We had him on a couple of months ago. Great character, of course. What was he like to play alongside?
That was great. I had a great friendship with Freddie. We got on very well. A lot of things in common, and a lot of things away from football to talk about as well.
Yeah.
And as a defender, he was great. He won every header, and he was great defensively. Yeah, so it was quite easy to play behind him.
Yeah. See, as a goalkeeper, Thomas, were you one of these goalkeepers that was very vocal in making sure that you were organising your defence and telling people where you want them and things like that? You one of those goalkeepers?
100%. Yeah, I think everyone could probably hear me when I was playing, and I think it's a big part of the game, and it can actually save more goals than the actual saves. If you communicate well with your defenders, and you kind of prevent those chances happening, before they happen. So I think it's important for every goalkeeper to have that ability, and don't be scared to be vocal. Well, of course, it's important to have those kind of whatever you say is relevant and timely and stuff like that. So I feel it's an important part of being a goalkeeper to be a good organizer and helping out your team that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd leave Partick, of course, and join Aberdeen in 2018. You'd spend a good 3 years. How did that move come about, Thomas? Did you have offers elsewhere, or did, as soon as Aberdeen came in for you, you felt that was the right one for you?
No, yeah, I was away from football for a couple months, I think, and then I remember I was sitting in my house in Banknock near Falkirk, and then one day Gordon Marshall called me and asked me if I could come up to Aberdeen for a medical, and he said they had a game next day against Burnley in the Europa League, Yeah. And it was a difficult one to turn down. So I remember quickly packing all my stuff and saying bye to my wife and little son Luca and driving up to Aberdeen, and I signed the same evening after passing a medical, and I think next day I was on the bench against Burnley. So it happened very quickly.
Yeah, it was some game that they were very unlucky against Burnley as well, weren't they? I mean, they gave them a good game that they were. We
were very close to it. Yeah, we were quite close to knocking them out of the competition. We were 1-0 up at Pittodrie. I think they scored quite a late goal to make it one each.
Yeah.
And even there, went to the extra time, and I think a couple of minutes before the end of the 19 minutes, I think Niall McGinn had a good chance to win it for us.
Yeah.
So we could have beat them in those two games.
Yeah. And when we were up there, of course, Joe Lewis was the number one. But being a number two again, Thomas, were you quite comfortable with that sort of role that you were asked to sort of deputise for him and just fill in when he couldn't?
Yeah, no, it's I think working with Joe Lewis has been great. I consider Joe to be my friend. He's a great guy to work with. He's quite funny, so we had many laughs over the last 2.5 years. I think he's an amazing goalkeeper, arguably the best one in Scotland, and he's an important character in the dressing room, obviously captain and the leader of the team. Yeah. And his consistency and level of performance for Aberdeen have been quite brilliant. And I suppose I knew what I was signing for. I wasn't expected to play every week here, and at that stage of the career, I was quite content with that role, and just try to make the most of it and just be ready for whenever I needed to step in.
Yeah, you said he's a big character, and of course Derek McInnes has been there for quite some time as manager, and he's led the club so well over the years that they often finish more or less best of the rest after the Old Firm. What do you think the secret to success at Aberdeen has been? Because they always seem to be up there or thereabouts.
No, first of all, I think Derek McInnes is probably the best manager I've worked under in my career. I think his record and his consistency at Aberdeen kind of speak for themselves. And let's compare, Aberdeen to Hibs or Hearts of the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how well the manager has done here and how consistent he's been with the finishes in the league.
Yeah.
I'm sure he himself always has he's got high ambitions and probably would have liked to maybe bring 1 or 2 more trophies into Aberdeen over the last few years. But I think his record's been incredible, and the consistency has been great, and we always had a good cup runs, a lot of finals and semi-finals at Hampden, nice big days. I think that's one thing. That would really be great if we managed to make that final step and win one of those finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on Gordon Marshall earlier. That gave you the call to come up to Aberdeen. Did you know of Gordon before? Have you worked with him before, Thomas?
Well, I've not worked with him, but of course he's been in Scottish football in so many years at different clubs and had a very good career himself. And so I came across across him many times when he was at other clubs. He was at Hibs, Motherwell, and Aberdeen, of course. So I knew him that way, and I spoke with him a few times, but never worked with him before I joined Aberdeen.
Yeah, and of course, like Partick and Hamilton, the Aberdeen fans seem to love you as well. It must make you feel great when the fans take to you like that.
No, I think it's quite incredible, given that I only played two games for Aberdeen. The reception I've got and the support I've got, and I remember that game at East Road, the last game of the season. We were still trying to we need to win the game to get to Europe, and I think they were just chanting my name for 90 minutes. It was pretty incredible. Incredible experience. So no, they've been brilliant for me, and also it's one of those parts where sometimes if you are at number 2 or if you're on the bench and stuff like that, you might not sometimes feel fully part of it, but given the way the fans treated me and stuff like that, I always felt fully part of the team, and absolutely delighted whenever we managed to win the game.
Yeah, and you touched on at the top of the show about your knee and getting rehab for it, and of course that's what made you decide to hang up the gloves, so to speak. How frustrating has it been with that knee injury that you sustained?
Yeah, it has been frustrating. I was in an ideal scenario. I wanted to to finish this season strong, fit, and healthy, but it wasn't to be. The knee is still not right, and it just doesn't allow me at the moment to train fully or to take part in the game. So ultimately, I am, happy. The decision to retire now feels right. It helped the club to be then able to bring Gary Woods as a replacement, and it allows me now to focus on the next chapter. I was planning to retire at the end of the season and to go on my postgraduate diploma in physical education. I was already deferred my spot there and I wouldn't be allowed to do it again. And it was quite hard against sports, so I just didn't want to lose on that. So it was a plan. It would have been great if I was able to finish the season strong, but at the same time, I'm happy with that decision. I had a brilliant kind of response from so many people in football, and so many fans, that like hundreds of messages and from all over the world. So I was very, very pleased with that, and I feel I'm finishing at the right moment. I could have dragged it on maybe for a bit longer, but I feel I feel I finished at the right moment, and I'm really excited to get involved into coaching and teaching, in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And you seem to have made Aberdeenshire your home as well. I guess you love living up there.
Yeah, we've settled here. I think we finally found our home. I think me and my wife, we've moved so much over the last 10 years. I think we moved house or apartment, I think 13 times in that time.
Wow.
Left in 4 different countries in that time, and with the kids being the age they are, I think we were ready to settle down, and Aberdeen really suit us. I think it's a great place to bring your kids up, and I like the proximity to the beach and the countryside and the mountains. It's all very accessible here, and you might be surprised, but the weather is just so much better than in Glasgow, honestly.
God, it wouldn't be hard, that's for sure.
No.
Looking back at the career then, Thomas, if you picked any sort of, well, first of all, did you have any, I speak to goalkeepers and what have you, and they have all sorts of superstitions and things like that. Were you one of those?
Well, yeah, I think I had too many superstitions to mention them all. But I think as a goalkeeper, there are so many things in the game that you cannot control. So I always try to focus on things I can control, and such as your training, your preparation, your sleep, what you eat before the game, and just overall kind of mindset going into every game. So these are the things you can control. And then I think the things you cannot control, and I think some sort of superstition or routine gave me a little bit of comfort going into it. And ultimately, I don't see any problem with that. If it brings you a bit of control, comfort, and helps you to play better, then it's okay.
Yeah, and you made a host of tremendous saves during your career. Is there anyone that sticks out where you felt that was a top class save that you made?
I think like one that sticks out in terms of, let's say, like, I felt I shouldn't have made that save really, and it was the one against Dundee for Partick at Firhill, when Musa had really just open net from 2 or 3 yards out. I had a very long way to make up, and I just managed to get a couple of steps in and dive, and somehow the ball hit my hand and got stuck under my body. And we ended up scoring a 92nd minute winner, and I also saved a penalty in that game in the first half, made a few more saves, and got a man of the match. So I think that one was quite memorable. Also, I think penalty save at Parkhead in our one each draw, and when I saved a penalty from Scott Sinclair. I've not got many good results, at away the old firm teams, so that one's definitely memorable. And then probably a header from Chiarina in the semi-final of European Championships as well.
Yeah. See, when you said the penalty save, what was your sort of approach to penalties? Was it just sort of guesswork, or did you sort of study the players beforehand?
Well, I think when I was at Hamilton, it was I think it was a different approach at the time, as the years ago, and it was more of a guesswork. But I remember one season for Hamilton, the SPL, I think I saved 5 out of 6 penalties, and all it was first one I saved, I dived to my right and I saved it, so I ended up just diving to my right the whole season. and it worked out pretty well. But no, most of the city center, the approach is different, and the goalkeeping coaches work in different ways. So now we have always, a little sheet, and also watch a video of all the penalties taken by the opposition team in the past. So we have a good idea where each player from the opposition team might put the ball. I remember the one against Sinclair. He scored, he put the ball into top corner to that side. I managed to save once against him, so I just thought, I'll go there and I'll try to dive early, and manage to get there.
Yeah, fantastic. And finally, but you mentioned that you're doing your diploma and what have you, and you're looking to get into the coaching side of things. You want to stay in football, is that right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that was a part of the discussions I had with Aberdeen about getting involved in the future with the academy and help them to develop young goalkeepers here. So I'm very, very excited about that. Always wanted to do that. Always wanted to stay in football in some kind of capacity.
Yeah.
And I feel I'll be a right fit for the youth goalkeeping. Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the best going forward, Thomas. It's been absolutely great having you on. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, and maybe see you soon.